Hello everyone, this is DerekJ Speaks, and today we are talking about WWE Night of Champions 2023 live from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The show just went off not too long ago from this recording, and it went off the air with a very dramatic finish as we close things out with the Undisputed Tag Team Championships being defended. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defending against Solo Sikoa and the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns on his 1000th day as champion. Was not a happy day for Roman as he and Solo lost this tag team championship match due to interference from the Usos. Ever since Roman returned to TV couple of weeks back, he has been going hard on the Usos, calling them an embarrassment and just completely talking down to them, specifically Jimmy Uso. And the Usos just can't do nothing right. They come out, they try to help, it always backfires, it's always unwanted. And that was a similar situation here in this match. In this match, it's not a Roman Reigns pay-per-view match unless there's a ref bump, and in this case, the referee accidentally got speared by Roman, and so later on the outside, the Usos arrive. They lay out Kevin Owens, they get in the ring, and they go to hit a double super kick on Sami, but Sami ducks, and they accidentally hit Solo Sikoa, their own baby brother, with a double super kick. And the camera, the shot here was very cool because as they pull back and they see what they've done, you can see in the background outside the ring is Roman Reigns kind of kneeling down, looking up and seeing what just transpired. So he gets in the ring, he gets in Jimmy Uso's face, he shoves him away. We've seen him do this on TV in recent weeks. So he shoves Jimmy away, and then he gets in Jay's face. Jay is trying to make peace here. He's trying to play peacemaker and all that. He's trying to talk down Roman. Roman's not having any of it. He's getting in Jay's face. He pie faces Jay. And then when Roman turns around, he is met with a super kick to the face from Jimmy Uso. Jay Uso, in a very similar scene after what happened at the Rumble when Sami turned on Roman, Jay is very conflicted here. He's looking down at Roman, he's concerned, but he's looking back at Jimmy. He's trying to tell Jimmy, like, we can't do it this way, not like this. Jimmy is telling Jay, I did what you should have did a very long time ago. And how we're brothers, we're the ones, we're day ones. And Jimmy, Roman at this point, he wasn't completely down. He was down a little bit. He was on his knees and he got back up a little bit. He rose himself up a little bit. And Jimmy hit him with another super kick. And then he sent him to the outside of the ring. And then Jimmy took Jay. Jay was still trying to check on Roman. He was trying to still be there. He looked very conflicted here. But Jimmy basically influenced Jay to leave the ring, go up the ramp, get away from here. Meanwhile, Solo Sikoa gets back in the ring, and he gets laid out with double finishers from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Complete afterthoughts were these two, the champions here, but the story wasn't about them. They were a means to an end. But Kevin Owens did hit Solo with the stunner, and Sami hit him with the haluva kick. They pinned Solo Sikoa, and they retained their tag team titles. Roman Reigns did not look pissed. He looked heartbroken here. So, show ended. The champs celebrating over Roman Reigns. Roman, he is just beside himself. The Usos, they're still in the rampway. They're looking back at things. Jay looks just completely confused and conflicted. And Jimmy is very much looking very sure of himself. So, this Bloodline storyline has been going on for a very long time. And it has started to lose some steam coming out of WrestleMania. It just felt very stagnant and not a whole lot of upward mobility due to the fact that Roman Reigns wasn't on TV. But then once Roman Reigns returned to TV, he inserted himself in this position, going after the tag team titles. That really added some more juice to this story. And now here, we finally get the implosion. Is this the complete implosion of the bloodline, it's hard to see a way back from here. I think this is it. I think we witnessed it. And now it is going to be an internal battle among these Samoans here. Roman, he's still the champion. I still stand by the fact that Roman should have lost at WrestleMania. Over a month later, I still don't see the benefit of Roman Reigns continuing to hold these championships. In fact, I think this story could have been told just as well, if not even better, if Roman Reigns had lost at WrestleMania, and instead of focusing on his own failure, he instead takes his anger out on the Usos and is embarrassing them and is berating them and is trying to take their tag team titles to make himself feel better about himself. And then the Usos, or at least Jimmy in this case, continues to do what happens here. So, but there's no point in laboring on that point because Roman Reigns is the champion. And now, heading into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up on July 1st, people like AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, they're all strong contenders to eventually challenge Roman Reigns. But I think now, coming out of this show, the man who could be in that position is Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso, remember, years and years ago, Jey Uso already had fallen in line, and Jimmy Uso was off TV, he was injured. He returned, and it was Jimmy who was the first one to really step up to Roman and tell him, I'm not going to be your bitch. I'm not going to take your bullshit. Eventually, he fell in line, but now that the Usos have fallen out of favor with Roman, Jimmy has been the one who has been the one picked on pretty much by Roman, and we saw it implode here. Jey Uso, like I said, he is once again in a position where he is thrown in the middle of it. He doesn't know what to feel. This is his brother, but on the other hand, this is Roman Reigns, this is his cousin, the tribal chief, so we don't know exactly where he lies. Ultimately, we know he will side with his brother, he will side with Jimmy. This might even lead to a tag team match with the Usos against Roman and Solo Sikoa. That could be the match at Money in the Bank. I would prefer it not be, because I would prefer there not to be a third straight pay-per-view after WrestleMania where the championships that Roman Reigns, for some reason, still has, is not defended. But nevertheless, I think that this just added a whole new life to this storyline, and it takes it to a whole new level and adds further layers to this story and where they can take it from here. I very much enjoyed this ending to the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. And as for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, hopefully this marks the end of their piece to the story. They have played a very big piece in this Bloodline storyline for the past several months, but their time is over. There is a variety of storyline options for them on Monday Night Raw with those tag team titles. People like Imperium, the Judgment Day. There are several tag teams for them to feud with on that show. They do not need to be tied into the Bloodline storyline any longer. They can do their own thing, and now it is time for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to move on and face brand new challengers and be in brand new stories on Monday Night Raw. And speaking of Monday Night Raw, this show is built around having a triple main event. And one of those big main events was for the brand new World Heavyweight Championship. It opened the show. I'm sure there's a variety of reasons behind their decision to open the show with the World Heavyweight Championship. All I will say is that there is already a pre-existing perception of this championship being a consolation prize, being a secondary championship, and being beneath anything that Roman Reigns is doing. All I will say is perception can be reality, and when you see this show and you see the World Heavyweight Championship be the match to open the show, and then Roman Reigns, who's not even defending his titles, he is still in the main event closing angle of the show, and that was a pretty big angle to end the show with. But still, having that end the show and then the World Heavyweight Championship open the show, that's not a great look. Nevertheless, this was the finals of a big tournament. came down to Seth Rollins and AJ Styles, and they went out there and they had the type of match that you would expect from Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. They had a great match. Every time I've seen these two go one-on-one, whether it be on WWE television or anywhere else pre their WWE days, they have had fantastic matches. And as the finals of this tournament, as the match to crown this inaugural World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw, I thought Seth Rollins and AJ Styles had a damn good match. Seth was teasing a knee injury, and it played a role a little bit, but I thought it was setting up for him to lose, but it did not. Ultimately, Seth hit a pedigree and followed it up with a stomp and got the win. So Seth Rollins is the brand new World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw. From the moment Triple H came out on television and unveiled that championship belt, it just screamed Seth Rollins. It had Rollins' name all over it. People were saying that that was the direction that they need to go in. And, you know, a few names popped up here and there. And then, of course, the news of Seth Rollins being casted in the new Captain America movie, and he has a filming schedule and all that, that came into play. And that made a few people kind of doubt what the outcome of this match would be. I don't think there was any doubt that Seth Rollins would hold that championship. It was just a matter of if he's going to be the first one or if he's going to have to fight to get it eventually. He was the first one, and this was the right outcome. Triple H was out there after the match. He awarded Seth Rollins with that championship, held his arm up, big moment there. Seth is the champion, and despite him filming this movie, he said later on in the show in a backstage interview that he's going to be on Raw this upcoming week. He's going to be on Raw every week. We'll see about that, but he will be on Raw most weeks. And, you know, personal feelings about this championship aside, I do feel like it is a secondary championship. It is beneath Roman Reigns. It exists only because they refuse to take those belts off of Roman Reigns. They refuse to undispute, if that's even a word. They refuse to split those championships, and they want to keep them on Roman. And so because of that, they went and created a brand new championship on the other show just so those guys have something to fight for. That's what it is. But it is up to them. It is up to WWE. It is up to Triple H. It is up to the creative team. It's up to Vince McMahon. Whoever's in charge, whoever's writing these shows, it is up to them to present this championship in a way that makes it look credible, that makes it look like it is important. And so we'll see if they can accomplish that. And your other big main event on this show was Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar in a rematch from Backlash earlier in the month. This time, Cody Rhodes came into this match with a broken hand. You don't see me, but I'm putting quotation marks around that broken hand because on the previous week, the go-home show before this pay-per-view, Brock attacked Cody and broke his hand, or was it his arm? I think it was his arm. I apologize. A broken arm. So, Cody had his arm broken. He went into this match. He was wearing what Michael Cole described as a titanium brace. This arm brace made of titanium. Was it enough to get the win over Brock Lesnar? It was enough to get in a couple of good shots on him. Cody did look like a fighter in this match. He didn't go down like a bitch. He didn't get beaten down and just abused by Brock here. He fought back. He hit his finisher a couple of times even. He got locked in the Kimura lock and stayed in it for a while, but he was able to eventually break it. But it got to a point where it was too much for him to overcome. The adversity was too much for Cody Rhodes. And after getting hit with an F5 and kicking out, he got put right back in the Kimura lock, and all the adrenaline, all the energy that was put into breaking this hold and him just being completely out of it, it was too much. And Cody passed out to the pain, and Brock Lesnar gets the win here. Cody did not tap out. Cody did not get pinned clean in this match. He did not lose this match clean. I mean, based on the rules, this was supposed to be like a fight or something like that, but it was just a match. But Cody did not lose like decisively. He looked strong in defeat. They did just about everything they could to make Cody look as strong as possible. He took the fight to Brock Lesnar, even with the broken arm. He was still in the fight. He was very competitive. He had Brock beat on a few occasions. But in the end, it was just too much for him to overcome. Now, I'm sure this will set up the third match. I did not think that this needed to be a trilogy, but here we are. I assume we'll get another match between these two. It could be at Money in the Bank. They could want to save it for SummerSlam. I don't know. My prediction, where I think it's going to go, I think there is at least a slight chance that Cody Rhodes could find himself in that Money in the Bank ladder match and win it. And instead of cashing in advance to face Roman at SummerSlam, maybe they finish off this storyline with Cody and Brock in a big match at SummerSlam. Meanwhile, Cody is still Mr. Money in the Bank, and he can cash that in advance on Roman somewhere down the line, maybe even at WrestleMania next year. Is that ideal? Do I like that? Not necessarily, but I don't see Roman losing that championship this year, and for some reason they want to stretch this feud with Cody and Brock out to a third match, because there's no way you look at the outcome of this match and don't think that there's going to be at least another match. So that's the way I see things heading there. And as for the match itself, this was probably one of my favorite Brock Lesnar matches in a very long time. I have not really enjoyed many Brock Lesnar matches, especially on pay-per-views, these last couple of years. So this was definitely one of the better ones. As for the undercard on this show, we had a couple other pretty good matches. There was not a single match on the show that I did not enjoy. I enjoyed each match to varying degrees. Probably one of the weaker matches was the Trish Stratus-Becky Lynch match, but even that, it was pretty good. Trish has not looked the best in ring-wise in a few of her outings, but here she looked on point, and she was getting pretty good crowd heat. The fans were really behind Becky, so Trish played the heel role very well in this match. It hasn't really come across the best on TV in recent weeks, but here it did. And Trish got the win due to interference from Zoe Stark, who just debuted on Raw after being called up from NXT a couple weeks ago. Behind the referee's back on the outside, Zoe Stark arose from underneath the ring, laid out Becky, put her in the ring. Trish hit her with the Stratusfaction and got the win. So good for Zoe Stark. She's paired up with a Hall of Famer in Trish Stratus in a feud with one of the biggest stars in the women's division right now in Becky Lynch. So it's hard to look at that as anything less than a positive for Zoe Stark. They clearly have big plans for her. So we'll see if they come to fruition. We had the Intercontinental Championship on the line. Mustafa Ali taking on Gunther. We all knew how this match was going to end. We all knew what the outcome was going to be in advance, but they still had a pretty fun match here. Ali was very competitive. He had a few good hope spots in there, even got a good near fall after hitting a 450 splash on Gunther. But in the end, he went for another 450, missed. Gunther hit a drop kick into the corner, got him up for a powerbomb, and retained his championship. Gunther is well on his way to breaking the Honky Tonk Man's historic reign as champion if he makes it to September, I believe. So we'll see if he makes it there. But yeah, Gunther, there was no chance of him losing his championship tonight, just like there was no chance that Rhea Ripley was losing her championship. And this was one of the things that I liked most on this show. Rhea Ripley defending her SmackDown Women's Championship, as ridiculous as that sounds, seeing as how Rhea is a Raw star. She's still the SmackDown champion. Nevertheless, she defended that title against Natalya, the birthday girl. Happy birthday to Natalya. Here's your present, a 69-second match. LOL. Rhea just dominated this entire match and then hit her with a riptide. And no offense to Natalya, but in the year 2023, that's about as much in-ring that I want to see of Natalya challenging for a championship, is 69 seconds. So good on them, making Rhea look like a monster here, making her look dominant. Loved it. And in the other women's championship match, the Raw Women's Championship match, contested by two SmackDown stars, Bianca Belair, in her, I believe, 420th day as champion, I think. She defended against Asuka. The build-up to this match, it was better than the build-up heading into WrestleMania, but that's not saying much because the build-up to that match was not good at all. But Asuka firmly established herself as the heel. She had the mist, and I figured that this was them just using Asuka to give Bianca another win, but I was wrong. These two had a very good match. Not as good as their WrestleMania match. I thought this was a bit of a step down for them, but I thought it was still good, and I thought the finish of this match was extremely creative. So in this match, Asuka went to spit mist at Bianca with the referee distracted, but she missed. She missed the mist, and she sprayed the air. So a little bit later on, Asuka's in the ropes, and she sprays out some more mist, but she sprays it on her fingers. Her fingers were taped up, and she sprayed it on her fingers. And so then when Bianca grabbed her and lifted her up to go for the KOD, Asuka raked Bianca's eyes with her misted fingers. And so now that's getting in Bianca's eyes. It's stinging her. And then Asuka gets her with a kick to the side of the head and then a running knee strike to the back of the head and pins her and wins the championship. So this historic reign as champion for Bianca Belair has now officially come to an end, and Asuka is the new champion. I thought that was a very creative finish. I really enjoyed that finish. I thought going into this match, it was a foregone conclusion that Bianca Belair was going to win, and then the trouble would arise that there's not really much competition for her on SmackDown. But no, they decided to shake things up a little bit, threw a title change on there, and gave the win to Asuka, who is more than deserving. The handling and booking of Asuka is just so weird. You can look at a list of all of her accomplishments: Raw Women's Champion, I believe SmackDown Women's Champion, Tag Team Champion, Royal Rumble winner, Money in the Bank winner. She's a very decorated career in this company, and yet it still always feels like they just undervalue her every single time. They present her more often than not as very goofy and you could say she's very wild and eccentric and bombastic, but a lot of times it comes off as a cartoon character. But hey, they're going to run with her as the champion. Well, I say run with her. For all I know, she's going to lose the title right back to Bianca at Money in the Bank. But at least now they switched the championship, took it off Bianca, who had a very good run as champion. I would say she was not booked the greatest, but the women's division as a whole has not been booked the greatest for several years, let alone the last couple of months. But Bianca, match-wise, she's had some really great matches against Becky Lynch, against Bayley, against Asuka, against Io earlier this month. So she's had some really great bangers as a champion, and it was a hell of a run for her. But now she's put back into the position to chase after the championship. Will she succeed? Very likely. She'll get that belt back the first chance she gets. But for now, Asuka's the champion, and I'm happy to see that. And that about covers it for this show, top to bottom. Very strong show. Like I said, every single match on the show I enjoyed to some varying degree. Even the Rhea squash match, I enjoyed that because Rhea looked dominant, and that's all that really mattered to me. And of course, the ending with the Usos and Roman, very good stuff. So that about covers it for this show. This will not be the only time you hear my sultry voice this weekend. I will be back to you guys tomorrow for my AEW Double or Nothing review. No, I will not be talking about NXT Battleground. I will be talking about AEW Double or Nothing. So until then, thank you for listening. Appreciate you all. Take care.